Steve, welcome and thanks for taking the time to speak to us today. We really appreciate it. Many CIOs that I talk to are really grappling with the concept of change, not necessarily how they implement change from an IT perspective, but how they demonstrate the value of change. Really trying to understand what it is they need to do to effectively manage upwards within an organisation. I'd be really interested in any sort of tips and tricks that you may have around that particular concept.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, when you say sometimes failure is not such a bad thing, I mean, what I see is we actually need to encourage failure, right, and celebrate it in the business, because that's how you get a whole bunch of crazy ideas through some sort of validation process to understand which one of those crazy ideas actually is a great idea, because it's sometimes not obvious. And I think what I've seen in NAB is a complete change in the way we approach innovation. If I go back a few years, we made a decision to outsource everything, and we had no internal technical staff. And what that did is it absolutely stifled innovation, because if somebody wanted to run an experiment, they had to approach a outsourcer, they had to get a quote, they had to fill in a statement of work, the price would sometimes come back at over $1 million. There was no chance to do a light touch experiment. Everything that we did had to be a massive experiment where the stakes were multi-millions of dollars if it failed. And then failure's bad, right, if you've wasted millions of dollars. And so what we've done is we've changed the way we approach things. We've brought in cloud. With cloud, you can spin up servers and an environment in a few minutes. You can pay a few dollars for it, and you can try out your idea. And if it fails, you've wasted, well, you haven't even wasted, you've proven an idea with an investment of a few hours and a few dollars. Okay. And if you come back and say it didn't work, it was a complete flop, and you do that in a morning, everyone's like, good on you. What's the next idea, right?
Exactly. So when you mentioned public cloud services, Steve, and obviously from a government point of view and a government environment, were there any sort of major resistances, if you like, you faced in terms of going down the public cloud service path?
Correct, yeah, and it's the cloud, it's CI/CD, it's decoupled environments, it's young, enthusiastic people that you bring into the organisation that don't know what can't be done. That's something I really look for in some of the people I'm bringing into the business now. I really want people that won't tell you that it can't be done because they've tried it before in a really big experiment and it failed, and it was so painful that they never want to try that again. Right. And so they're the people that know what can't be done. We're not looking for those people. We're looking for the people that don't know what can't be done.
We talk a lot about innovation in this industry, Steve, and obviously how important that is in terms of driving change and driving new approaches to IT and indeed business outcomes. What's your views on really how organisations can more successfully look on innovation in terms of driving more positive perceptions around innovation, and how they can invest more effectively to innovate rather than increasingly spending more amounts of money on keeping the lights on?
No, it is accelerating, and you know, if you think about my job is to provide those tools out to the workplace. They're my customers, and as my customers change, I need to change the way I serve those customers. And they want tools like Workplace, and Workplace is actually a tool that's really familiar to Gen Ys and people that are coming on board now. They really want it, and so it's a great way for me to enable them with the tools that they need to do their job in a way that they like to do their job.
It's interesting, isn't it? Many CIOs we talk to are really grappling with how they can innovate when they still have a very heavy reliance on legacy systems, legacy hardware, legacy software. They typically try and think about how we can take a whole of IT approach to reducing dependence on legacy. You mentioned that taking more of a step-based approach to innovation can actually have better outcomes in the long run. Could you expand on that a little bit for us, please?
Absolutely. There is a lot of confronting ideas with new technology, and new ideas are confronting to an organisation that is 160 years old, that know how it works in a highly regulated environment, so everything we do has to be justified to a regulator. And I was in a meeting last week where I said, I've got a great idea. I want to remove passwords from all of our frontline users. don't want anyone to have a password. They're horrible things. They take forever to fill in. They're costing us a whole lot of money in terms of lost productivity. Want to remove it, and I want to move to new facial recognition and systems like that. Right, senior leadership, like the look on their face with that idea.
So part of that is really about building trust, and ultimately trust goes to the core of everything we do at the end of the day. I'm interested, when you think about it from a trust point of view, were you able to demonstrate wins, build trust, demonstrate more wins, build more trust, and ultimately that would lead to better outcomes from the overall management up within the organisation?
Absolutely. There are a lot of people that are scared to fail, to your point. They've come through this whole history with the bank where 10 years ago it was a terrible thing to fail. And to take that leap into trying new things, having innovative ideas, failing and celebrating failure is a complete change in culture, and culture doesn't change easily, right? I've worked for some young dynamic companies where that just comes naturally. In NAB, we actually have to make the transformation.